Hey, what is up YouTube? This is Merman Master coming at you guys again from the Team Time Riders YouTube channel with the next video in this series of Venom deck ideas and stuff like that. And this was the, as you guys know, final build that I had before Card of Demise went to 1 on the list. But for those of you guys who are interested in seeing, I wanted to show you guys some test hands that we have in the deck. So right here, we have the deck organized in monsters, spells, and traps. And what I'm going to do right now is, without cutting the video, I'm going to pile shuffle this deck just so that you guys will be aware of some of the combo plays and stuff that I'm doing. And when I talk about the consistency of this build, that I'm not, you know, making this this kind of stuff up. So I've pretty much fully pile shuffled this deck. I do it usually in groups of 7 cards because that's what I feel is the most consistent. So now that we've done that, we're going to give this a little bit of a shuffle. We just want to make sure we're really shuffled up here. And we'll do a couple of different cuts here just to keep everything consistent. Now, to trigger, you know, the opponent play, give them your deck, they get final cut, and yeah. So now, let's get started. All right, so for our first opening hand, we have 5 cards here. Now, this is already a pretty good opening hand, but it's not an optimal one. As you guys can see, we drew into a Vennominaga King of Poisonous Snakes, which is not as good. However, what we do have right here is we have Monster Reborn, we have Lilith, Lady of Lament, and we have a Trap Trick, which means there is a possibility we can still go Vennominaga, maybe not on this turn, but on the next turn. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set the Trap Trick, of course, but we're going to want to trigger Lilith, Lady of Lament, and we're going to want to tribute Lilith to bring out whatever trap card we're missing. So let's say right now, since we already drew the Trap Trick, we want to get your Vennominaga to the graveyard. We don't know how to do that, but we're going to figure it out. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we get Peaceful Burial. So what we can do is we can use Peaceful Burial and grab 2 copies of Peaceful Burial and 1 copy of the Trap Trick. So what this does is, you know, you're either going to get Peaceful Burial or you're going to get the Trap Trick. But since we already have the Trap Trick set, what we can even do is we can do one better than that. Sorry, I should turn this around. We can use it. We can grab the 2 Peaceful Burial, and then let's also grab 1 copy of Back to the Front. I'm going to shuffle that up right now. And we'll shuffle this up as well. Lay them all out. I should have a dice for this, but let's pick this one. I'm gonna set it. Looks like it was the Peaceful Burial, but even if it was the Back to the Front, that would be okay. So we're gonna put the other 2 back into the deck. And now what we have set is we have, of course, guys, our Trap Trick and our Peaceful Burial. So since we have Trap Trick and Peaceful Burial, we know we can get one of the other trap cards out of the deck. What we're next going to do with this hand is we're going to activate Monster Reborn to bring back Lilith, Lady of Lament. We can't activate Lilith this turn, but we're going to be able to activate it next turn. Now, with that, you got to keep these 2 in your hand, and that would be your first turn ending play. So, starting out, once it becomes your opponent's turn, you want to get your card Peaceful Burial activated as soon as possible. If this was a standby phase, of course, you would activate this effect to search your Peaceful Burial out of the deck just so that you could mill. But in this situation, what we're going to do is we're going to utilize Peaceful Burial to send a second copy of Vennominaga, King of Poisonous Snakes, to the graveyard. So now we've got Vennominaga, King of Poisonous Snakes in our graveyard. All we need to do now is to revive him and get him back, and use the Rise of the Snake Deity. But, as you guys know, once we have the Revival and Destruction, we do have Lilith, Lady of Lament, and we do have the Trap Trick. So even if we don't trigger the effect on this turn, that's okay, because we have most of our combo pieces set up right here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to see, I guess, like sort of what our opponent's going to do, if they're going to try and target any of our cards and destroy them. Whatever they try to do, of course, as you guys know, we can chain either or of these cards in response. We probably won't get the Vennominaga play off this turn, but what we can do is we can trigger the Lilith, and of course we also want to trigger the Trap Trick, you know, at different parts in this turn, because that's going to allow us to get the cards and stuff that we need. So first things first, what I want to do is with the Trap Trick, what I'd like to do is to get part of the set kind of card play off. So for instance, Back to the Front will be the card that I'd want to search off the Trap Trick. That's going to guarantee that we get the revival of our big snake, or this is going to guarantee that we get the revival of our snake going. And it also will help us thin the deck a little bit more by removing that. And of course, with Lilith, Lady of Lament, as I say, I always like to search the Trap Trick and whatever the other piece that I'm missing is. So in this situation, you know, for instance, searching 2 Trap Trick and 1 offering of the Snake Deity is actually a very, very good play, because the idea is you get the offering, that's good, but if you get either one of the Trap Tricks and you draw into an offering next turn, that's great, because then these allow you to go for Rise. So I'm going to shuffle them up and pick the middle one. So we got a Trap Trick. You know, of course, you want to get your probability and stuff in there, but we're going to put them back. I'm going to put the other 2 back into the deck. I'm going to shuffle that up right now. And we're going to give our opponent, whoops, final cut. So now, moving on to our turn. Draw. So you guys see right there, there's the offering off the top of the deck. And that, you know, a lot of it was the luck that we managed to trigger the Trap Trick, but as you guys see, we have the offering now, meaning we can then just go ahead and set the offering and maybe set Venom Serpent on our side of the field for, you know, just for protection. But as soon as our turn comes around, we can activate our Vennominaga play. So as you guys see, like, unless your opponent's completely OTK'd you, if they've left you even with a little tiny sliver of health, you still have Vennominaga on board right now. But, so let's say, you know, your opponent's turn runs around. I would say as soon as their turn starts, what you want to do is you want to trigger your Back to the Front to get back your Vennominaga from the graveyard. Now, alternatively, if you wanted to, you know, search a little bit more, use more with Foolish Burial or things like that, you could have reborn the Lilith and then use the Venom Snake that you had set to make your play. But for this one, I want to show you the summon of Vennominaga. So now you've revived it to the field. That means that you have your offering ready to activate at any time. And this is good. Like if your opponent's got Mystic Mine or something on the board, this can help you, you know, sort of out that card, because not a lot of things protect against destruction by trap card in this current meta. But, you know, your opponent does some plays, blah, blah, blah. They set up some cards. You know, if they summon like an Orcust, whatever, or whatever they're going to summon, you trigger the offering to the Snake Deity to target Vennominaga and target 2 other cards at the activation. And before the card resolves, you're going to trigger your Trap Trick, because you only get 1 more activation per turn. What that's going to do is you're now going to go through your deck, and this time you're going to grab Rise of the Snake Deity. And as you guys know, you've got 2 Rises in the deck. You banish 1 Rise to set the other Rise. Now the chain resolves backward. Trap Trick resolves, goes to the graveyard, and of course its effect now activates where you can only activate 1 more trap card per turn. That's going to be pretty much all you need, because now offering is resolved. You're not activating offering because it's already activated, popping your card and the 2 other cards your opponent controls. And now, since you can activate the trap you set that turn, it's now time to trigger Rise of the Snake Deity. Since your snake was destroyed, you could grab Rise out of your deck without having to wait a turn to do it, and special summon good old Vennominaga, Deity of Poisonous Snakes. So you guys see how, you know, it seems deceptively tough, but when you have the combo plays down, it becomes very, very easy to do it. And it's all a matter of getting whatever trap you're missing to the back row so that you can trigger your combo plays. Now, as you guys know, this is not a strong Vennominaga. You know, you're just summoning the Vennominaga right out. The way to make this card really strong would be to have something like Card of Demise, which could have drawn us into a Snake Rain in the early parts of the game and allowed us to really, you know, get this play. But now you have a monster impervious to battle destruction and card destruction and different effects. And then if you draw a Card of Demise right now, it's actually only going to help you. Because now, since you've activated your 1 Rise of the Snake Deity, your other one's been banished by the Trap Trick, which means no more Rises in your deck, which, you know, for many Venom players, that was a sore sticking point that they had was, you know, no Rise of the Snake Deity was left. You know, you'd always be top decking into Rise of the Snake Deities if you needed to draw something else. In this deck, if you're searching it off of the Trap Trick, which you always want to be doing, you literally resolve it once and you never have to worry about the card again, which just is like phenomenal. So now that you guys see kind of the combo plays around going on the deck, the hands are going to be a little bit faster. So I'm just going to sort of go through the motions of the plays on some of these other ones so you guys can see them, you know, shuffle up the deck a little bit without really explaining things, because as you guys know, we sort of have the explanations down at this moment. So shuffle that up, you know, make sure we get a very, very good shuffle of the deck, and we're going to give it to our opponent for final cut. Now, what's our next hand? Oh, put that back. Assuming that we're going first. You can go first or second in this deck. So this is actually a really, really good hand. The reason for that being because you have your Snake Rain play as well as your Revival. So this, as I mentioned, was 2 out of 4 of the pieces you need. All you need to do is get a way to send your snake to the graveyard, which we do have here, and a way to summon. So you have, with Snake Rain and your Limit Reverse, you have basically 3 ways, or you have 3 out of 4 of the pieces of your combo to summon Vennominaga turn 2. Now, the only thing we need to do at this moment is to see if Pot of Duality can dig us into the 4th. So, before we do that, of course, the most important part is getting Snake Rain and getting your snakes out of your graveyard. So, having Snake Rain plus 1 snake in your hand is really, really good. We run 10 non-Vennominaga reptiles in here to ensure that even if you draw into multiple snakes, that you can resolve Snake Rain twice. So, we're going to take out all our bricks in our deck, which is the 3 Deity and 1 Boa. You've now got 5 snakes in your graveyard, which actually works out very, very well. And we're going to shuffle up the deck like so and give the opponent final cut. Moving things over, this is your hand. We're now going to activate Pot of Duality and to see what we're going to draw. We'd like to get into a Card of Demise. That's going to be sort of the main play because that's going to, you know, help us to dig further. But really the only thing we want right now is a Trap Trick. So we're going to see if we can get one. 1, 2, and 3. All right, perfect. So as you guys see, we drew into Lilith, Lady of Lament. We now have turn 2 Vennominaga. So we can take these other 2 cards, because we'll search them eventually, put them back into the deck. We're not going to cut it just to save a little bit of time, but what we're going to do is we're going to want to summon Lilith, Lady of Lament to the field and tribute her. Now, we're going to grab all 3 copies of our Trap Trick and give them to our opponent. Of course, your opponent's going to pick the Trap Trick. You set the Trap Trick, all right? And shuffle up the rest of the deck like so. Giving the opponent final cut. And then we're going to set the other 2 limit reverses in our hand. this ensures that we have one. Basically, what we'd like to do is we'd like to somehow get this to where it lasts until the end of the turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to hold on to this trap trick as long as possible because it only allows one activation after that. But if there's a way that, you know, the card's going to be destroyed, someone triggers like a torrential or something like that, you can respond to some of your opponent's card effect destructions in order to, you know, cheat your Vennominaga out. But assuming if they, like, you know, destroy some of your other stuff, like so, even if they do trigger your trap tricks, you know, let's say they destroy one of your cards, what you want to theoretically do is to have a limit reverse triggered and have a special summoned Venom King of Poisonous Snakes during your end phase. You want this to be like during your opponent's end phase coming into your turn. But most importantly, if you have this setup, what you actually want to do is you also want to trigger Trap Trick, because you want to make sure, absolutely sure, that you get your Rise of the Snake Deity out of your deck onto your field and into a position that it can be activated on your turn. The reason for that, guys, is because, as you guys know, since we only run 2 of them in here, you know, I'm the kind of guy who bricks like crazy and would totally draw into his Rise of the Snake Deity. So I just like to play it on the safe side and get Rise out of your deck. Of course, give the opponent final cut. And now on this turn, this is a Vennominaga. If you draw for turn, Venom Serpent, doesn't even matter, all right? You can summon it, you can do whatever the heck you want with it. But now all you're going to do is you're going to switch this to defense mode. Limit Reverse's effect will kick in to destroy the monster. And then you trigger your Rise of the Snake Deity to special summon Vennominaga, the Deity of Poisonous Snakes, from your deck right on that, right on your next turn, right on your turn 2. So you guys can see right now. And since we had the Snake Rain starting in this hand, even though we didn't have Card of Demise at all, we had Venom, Lilith, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different snakes in our graveyard, which means your snake automatically comes at a respectable 2,500. But since we also have our Venom Serpent, what we can do is we can actually use Venom Serpent, swing into one of our opponent's monsters, doesn't matter what it is, and make our Vennominaga 3,000 attack. This actually helped win me a game against a True Draco player who had no idea how to beat over this thing because it's literally unaffected by everything. But as you guys can see, we managed to get Vennominaga, Deity of Poisonous Snakes, out onto the field very, very consistently. So now let's do another hand. I'm going to shuffle things back up again, and we're going to draw another one. But I hope you guys are really starting to see that I'm not lying about this deck and that it really is as consistent as advertised. And I say, you know, if you don't believe, you know, even after these couple of draws and hands and things like that, if you don't believe in the consistency of this deck, go out, you know, go on a Dueling Nexus or Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro 2 and, you know, toss this deck together and build it for yourself. Try it out for yourself. Try out different combos. Like, hell, even if you wanted to switch up the deck and run better reptiles such as worms and like Tsuchinoko and things like that, you could do it and the deck will actually still, you know, be able to go for the different combo plays. But as I say, you know, I'm trying to keep this Venom-like, so, you know, that's our different plays. So next hand we have is another pretty decent hand. No Card of Demise in this hand as well, but that's okay. That's okay. We've got the Lilith, so that means that we have the Trap Trick, which means that we can search the part of the deck that we're missing. And then we also have Venom Serpent, as well as our King of the Snake Deities. So what we want to do on this turn is, of course, you know, we're going to try and set these cards to the field, and then we're going to summon our Lilith, and Lilith is going to grab us our Trap Tricks. Since you guys already know that I run the 3 Trap Trick in here, I'm not going to go and search them out, but we're going to just go ahead and set it. That's for sort of timing's sake. But, you know, now what we have on our side of the field are an Offering of the Snake Deity, a Trap Trick, and a Limit Reverse. This is not an optimal hand because we don't have the ability to go completely for Vennominaga, But, you know, if this was either a Rise or Foolish, then we'd have the Vennominaga play, you know, totally on. But what we have here actually is sort of like the way to, you know, get almost there. And so, you know, sort of best way to do this is to wait and see sort of what our opponent's going to do. But the big thing, I think, will be to trigger your trap trick, to banish Peaceful Burial, to have Peaceful Burial, and then to activate Peaceful Burial. Most likely, you know, closer to the end phase so that your opponent, you know, doesn't get, like, you know, overly ambitious if you already triggered your one trap for the turn. So by that end phase, what you will have wanted to do is just sort of send that card away. Bring your hand back over here. So you wanted to have send the Peaceful Burial away and have your Vennominaga grave. And, you know, hopefully, you know, either your opponent's going to destroy your stuff or they're not. We'll assume that they won't in this kind of scenario, but sometimes it does happen and you sort of got to roll with the punches. So next card we have is Limit Reverse. Not really that good, but we can still work with some of these different plays here because we do have the Transmigration Prophecy, which can help us to get certain things back into our deck. But by summoning the Venom Serpent, or by possibly, you know, maybe using a premature use of your offering to the Snake Deity, you can put like a little bit more pressure onto your opponent and keep the duel going a little bit more into your favor, assuming that you're not really, you know, drawing into the different pieces and stuff that you need. So, you know, assuming that's the case, and, you know, it most likely is, you just keep wait and biding your time. And this might be a duel that you might actually lose, I guess, because you're almost there, but you're not quite there yet. You know, so let's assume this is your last turn. So it's either do or bust at this point, because you do have a lot of stuff that you can do. But as you guys can see right here, we got the card of Demise. So we could either grab the Snake Rain and mill, but I think the safer bet at this point would be the card of Demise. So worst case scenario, if we draw into any of our snakes, including into Vennominaga, we do have the Transmigration Prophecy back in the back row to shuffle it back into the deck. I'm gonna do that. So this is do or bust turn. If we don't get Vennominaga by this turn, you know, we die. Card of Demise. So this is already really good. Snake Rain, and a Venom Snake. So actually with this play, what I think would be sort of a cool play to do is we're not going to have Vennominaga this turn, but even cooler than that is to use, you know, resolve both copies of Snake Rain like so. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then, you know, of course you figure that you resolve Transmigration Prophecy, you know, after you activate your first one to send back, you know, 1 snake and Vennominaga, so that you technically are milling 8 snakes to your grave. Now all your snakes are in your graveyard, and you can now trigger your Limit Reverse, special summon Phenomenon to the field with 4,500 attack and try to beat down your opponent that way. And if that doesn't work, most likely you're going to lose that duel. But, you know, as they say, nobody expected anything from Venoms from the start, so, you know, really, what do you have to lose in that situation by just, you know, completely going for it? Cut that open again. Now for our next. This is probably the best hand that we've drawn so far, and more than likely will lead us to a Vennominaga play. As stated, what we're going to do is we're going to mill our Venom Snakes with Snake Rain, and we're going to mill the 3 Venominon and 1 Boa, because those are your level 5 higher snakes. So we're already starting things out with 5 snakes in grave, and we've thinned our deck by 4. What that's going to mean is that we only have 7 reptiles left in this deck out of, you know, however many cards are in here. So I'm going to cut the deck like so. And I think the sort of best play to start out with right now will be Card of Demise. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to set both of these and activate our Card of Demise to draw our 3. Now, you guys can see here, we drew into the Transmigration, but we also drew into Lilith, Lady of Lament, which actually works perfectly because we haven't drawn yet. So we can use Lilith, trigger her effect. We'll set these 2 as well. Use a Lilith, trigger her effect to grab the Trap Trick and set it to our board. And our final play, of course, is going to be, let me get the cut there, Pot of Duality. As you guys can see, we have any 1 card that we need, as well as just our destruction right now. So what we want to do is we want to get into another piece of our puzzle. I'm going to reveal. So that actually works perfectly. Limit Reverse is the card that we want to take, because Limit Reverse will get us our Revival. So we have our Revival now, our Destruction, and our Trap Trick. I'm going to shuffle that up, and as soon as our opponent's turn comes around, we're going to figure out how we're going to activate our cards, but the key play that we want to do is to make sure that we have an uninterrupted activation. And so first and foremost, of course, is that Revival Trap, which is going to allow us to get Venominon, King of Poisonous Snakes, to our board. When that happens, either on your opponent's summon or on some other kind of summon, you can activate the Torrential Tribute. And the Torrential Tribute, of course, will destroy the field. But at this moment, you also, you know, want to make sure that when you're activating your Revival effect, I did forget to mention this before, most likely you should also have triggered the Transmigration Prophecy beforehand, because with that, so yeah, you would have to trigger your Transmigration Prophecy beforehand, I'm sorry, because with that, then, you know, you take back Card of Demise and either Lilith or Duality. You want to keep all your snakes in the graveyard. You take them back, shuffle them back into the deck. But the key thing that does is you need to free up the activation zone for Trap Trick to be able to place a trap from your deck. I'm going to shuffle that up. And then, so moving back, of course, you've got Limit Reverse, Torrential Tribute, and Chain 3 is going to be Trap Trick. Trap Trick is going to resolve backward, banishing Rise of the Snake Deity to set Rise to your field. Trap Trick resolves, goes to your graveyard. All right? Then, Torrential Tribute resolves, destroying your Venominon, King of Poisonous Snakes, as well as the Limit Reverse. And finally, you're going to resolve your set Rise of the Snake Deity. And Rise of the Snake Deity will now, in turn, special summon Venominon, or Vennominaga Deity of Poisonous Snakes, from your deck to the field. And that's pretty much all she wrote in that situation, because now you've pretty much milled out your entire deck of all of the things you've needed, and you got turn 2 Vennominaga Deity of Poisonous Snakes. So you guys notice we summoned it 3 out of 4 of the random hands that we drew, and in 2 out of 3 of those hands we drew it turn 2. And the best situation is you're removing all your traps. So on your turn, when it comes around, you now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 2,500 attack power Vennominaga Deity of Poisonous Snakes. It's unaffected by everything. And once your turn rolls around, you know, you draw for turn. You can put this snake on the board. You then have the field to trigger your card of demise if you want. You know, you can do your attacks and battle phase and stuff like that, trigger your card of demise main phase 2. And since you've now already removed every single copy of your Rise of the Snake Deity out of your deck, you're now just going to get pure advantage. So you guys can see now, we just drew into one of those 3 snake hands that I was telling you about, but you don't even care at this point, because what you're doing is literally with this 3 snake hand, you're going to mill all of these guys to your graveyard. You don't care about the Liliths, you don't care about any of that stuff anymore. You're just sitting on Vennominaga until you win. So it's like, you know, you did the hard work, you put in the effort, and you now are reaping the dividends. And when your Venom Serpent and Venom Snake in your hand go to the graveyard, Vennominaga will go up from 2,500 attack power to, or 3,000 attack power to 4,000 attack power, now that you have all these different reptiles in your graveyard at the end of your next turn. So if your opponent doesn't have a kaiju, or they don't have an accurate way to destroy this card by battle, you're now sitting on what many people consider one of the worst monsters in the game, or one of the toughest to summon monsters in the game, on your turn 2, or turn 3, mind you, with 4,000 attack power, and it's just going to steamroll everything and kill everything, and it's just one of the most fun feelings that you can have in this game. This deck, I love it with all my heart. I worked extremely, extremely hard on this. So, of course, any advice that you guys have on ways that we can improve this in a post-Card of Demise world, I would love, love, love to hear them. So, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give a rate, comment, and subscribe to the Team Time Riders YouTube channel. And with that being said, guys, this has been the Mermail Master, and I'm signing out. Catch you guys next time. Peace.